listening to SFP-Now.
Is child?
I don't know.
But she was you.
She has no one else. We are not savages. Apes fight only to survive.
Bad human can kill ape. All dead now. A long time. Long time.
Bad humans.
Soldier.
No mercy. No peace. This is war. Apes together strong.
You are impressive. You're smart as hell. You're stronger than we are. But you're taking this all much too personally. So emotional!
I did not start this war. But I will finish it.
Hello and welcome to another exciting episode of SFP Now here on sci-fi-pulse-radio.com. We have a fantastic guest lined up today who's currently going to be on your screens really soon, as if not now, because the film War on the Planet of the Apes is out now here in the UK. And I don't know about the other territories, but it's coming out. We have Michael Adamthwaite,
Hi.
who's got a really good part in the new Planet of the Apes movie, and as in a really big supporting part.
Thank you so much, Ian. Wonderful introduction. I'm happy to be chatting with you today.
Yeah, well, it's great to have you on the show, and even my cat's happy. She just sort of walked right across me there.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, she's being nice and considerate. Anyway, I think the first question I have for you, and I kind of like to ask this of every actor or singer or producer that we have on here, is how did you get into acting? Was it a lifelong goal for you, or did you sort of fall into it?
Well, for me, it was an interesting kind of arc as an overall journey. I was fortunate enough to be brought up in a very creative family. My dad was a battleship commander, so that in and of itself does not necessarily translate into what I do, but it also kind of does in an interesting way. We were involved in a program where we were growing up in Victoria called the PACE Musicals, which is an acronym that stands for Program for Academic and Creative Enrichment. And it was a wonderful forum. It was a wonderful place to go and perform and do stand-up and slapstick and comedy and vaudeville and dance and singing. It was just a wonderful place. We had a very creative director, Sandy Webster Worthy. You may recognize the last name. She is, in fact, Caleb Worthy's mother. He is, of course, a Disney star recently named in a new Marvel installation coming out soon. So, yeah, no, it's no surprise. There's a creative genius running through some interesting family ties as well.
Cool.
Yeah, so I had a pretty intense training as a kid in theater, as a young person, and then when I was living in England, I was living in Lewisham at the time and attending the American School in London. Michael Benz was a student there, and he was doing a project called Little Lord Fauntleroy, and they auditioned at the school for the role of Stanley Logan, who was a New York City bully, and I won the role after, I guess I was the only one that really took it seriously when people showed up to quote-unquote audition, and they gave it to me right on the spot in front of everybody, and it was pretty cool. I have to say that was nice. I got to go on a train and stay in a hotel, and I was all by myself, and I was 12, I think, at the time, and
wow.
I think I got 200 pounds, I think, was my fee for that film. It was great. I got to fight. I got to do my own stunts. I scratched my face on a wicker basket. I went over a vegetable cart for a long time. Little Lord Fauntleroy. BBC was on Netflix, and I was like, wow, I have to watch this with the kids.
Cool. So you got like 200 quid for your first TV thing, right?
It was 200 quid, and it was in the early 90s. I was really excited. I have to say it was it was a pretty big deal.
Mm-hmm. I mean, you've done a lot of theatre, as you said, and earlier on when we was talking, I noticed this on your IMDb credits as well. It looks like you've done a lot of voice work.
Yeah, I've been very fortunate in that regard. I have a pretty good, I guess, environment is the best way to say it here in Vancouver. There's a lot of voice work happening. There's a lot of studios here. There's a lot of shows being produced, and there's a lot of interest. So, as a hub, we are, in fact, getting a lot of attention. Vancouver has, turned out some pretty amazing shows. I've been very fortunate to be part of quite a few of them in the last several years. Yeah, it's been great. I have quite a few interesting collectibles.
I bet. I mean, it's sort of like all started in the late 80s, I think, when a lot of productions started coming over to Vancouver and Toronto. So
yeah,
it's just sort of like grown from there. It's phenomenal.
I've been very fortunate in these last several years, as I said, to inject myself into this industry. It's just been a really great community. Everyone's been really supportive, and everyone's been really, great about bringing someone in who's new and allowing them to be present and take risks and just, overall just step out and make some interesting characters happen and contribute to a show. It's a really nice feeling.
Mm-hmm. Well, we're talking about some of the TV and film work that you've done before we get to Planet of the Apes. I noticed you've had roles in things like Supernatural, Arrow, and all these things. If you was able to pick these projects, would you actually pick them? Because obviously, with you being an actor, you kind of like take whatever roles come your way, sort of thing that you get on the audition, on the auditions process. So I'm just wondering if would it be your preference to do something like Supernatural, or?
I think it really comes down to, as you say, opportunity and what's really happening in the world around us as actors, and what shows are available. I mean, I love science fiction, but I also love period pieces, and I love everything for different reasons. I mean, it all contributes to the art and the community. But when I say choice, I mean, really, it's a privilege to audition, and it's certainly a privilege to be considered, and to win a role is really, I mean, again, it's an incredible privilege, because you step into something and you realize by the time you get there, no one else is going to get to shoot this role. It's just me. This is literally, it in a way becomes, written for you. And in that sense, it's very humbling. And yeah, I would choose every show again.
Cool.
If they suddenly called me back and said, we have to reshoot everything, I said, bring it on. Let's do it.
Yeah, I mean, I've just noticed here, skimming over everything that you've got listed on IMDb, you've actually been in a few of these Christmas movies, like The Wishing Tree, which is actually one I've seen a couple of years on the trot.
Wow, yeah, that's a definite That is one of the older ones. I don't remember how many years ago The Wishing Tree was.
And it's got down 2012 here, and you're
yeah,
credited.
That's about right. I'm trying to. I always have to gauge what project I was doing by what kid was born at what time. My calendar senses aren't great.
You're credited as a paramedic, and another one that I've also seen, Hats Off to Christmas, which is 2010.
Hats Off to Christmas. Long time ago, Hats Off to Christmas. Interesting piece of fact about that particular project is I had 3 daughters into Hats Off to Christmas, rather. Mm-hmm. And 2 of those young girls are my kids.
Wow, that's awesome.
Yeah, the director called me into his office. He said, "Hey, Michael, come on in, sit down. I only have a minute. Listen, there's this scene where you have to rough and tumble, play football with the kids, and no offense, I'm just saying, kids aren't probably going to want to rough and tumble, toss around with you. You're a big, scary dude, I gotta say. I'm sorry. So, I hear you have kids. Are they the right ages? Can we maybe cast them? Can they act?" And I was like, "Yeah, sure." And then we got to set, and everything was great. There was one young lady who was obviously cast to play my eldest daughter, but the 2 younger girls are Ireland and Lily, my 2 girls. And we had a great time on set. They were laughing, and I was sort of curious as to why. And she said, "You're getting paid. You have to play with us." Because, of course, Daddy's always too busy. It's like, "Dad, come jump on the trampoline." I'm like, "No, I got to do stuff. I'm busy. I have to do stuff." So now that, of course, they've got me by the paycheck, as it were. It's like, you're getting paid to play with us. You can't say no. And it was a really cute moment, kind of bring the kids to work day.
Mm-hmm. Well, another film that he was involved with, which it sadly didn't do as well as people were hoping it would. That was the BFG.
Yeah, man, the BFG is just such a huge. Wow, it really is such a huge part of the last several years, working up to it, going through the film. I mean, we shot on and off for several months, and, we obviously got, well acquainted with, Steven's set and working with Mr. Spielberg, and has just, been, I think, a huge piece of the puzzle, the magic that has been the last several years working, particularly in performance capture. I also worked on Warcraft with Duncan Jones, and I was a 4-foot dwarf king, and it's really all just sort of magically come together, it would seem.
So you use a 4-foot dwarf king in Warcraft?
Yes, I played Magni Bronzebeard.
How the hell did they achieve that? Because you said you're quite a big guy, It's all did they chop you up or something?
I am over 6 feet. I'm over 6 feet, and of course I was rendered down, let's say, to His Majesty's height, which is, I believe, 4 foot 10. I don't know. I might be off by a couple inches. There is a crown. There are boots, for sure. But it was an amazing process. Meeting Duncan and hearing his version of the story and going through everything was just tremendous. But what really struck me was working with Terry Notary for the first time, who is obviously the genius, and as Andy Serkis so eloquently puts, he is the greatest unsung hero of the Apes franchise. Terry is amazing, and like I was just saying, I had the pleasure of meeting him first on Warcraft, creating Magni for that film.
Cool. There's another show here, and I'm sorry to say I've never actually heard of it. It's probably on one of our kids' channels here or something. It's called Nerds and Monsters. Sounds interesting.
Nerds and Monsters. Yes, very fun show where I, for the first time, gender jumped as a voice actor. I play I provide the voice of Lyle's mom, Dern.
Oh wow! Yeah, so
it's a very grating voice. I will confess that. It is an angry monster mom who is in a very sort of monster magic way sharing a body with her husband. He is the lower half, she is the upper half, and they fight a lot. But it's a really funny show. And I think it is on in the UK. That does ring a bell for sure.
Yeah, it probably is, but we've got so many channels now, so it's kind of hard to keep track of everything.
Exactly. Yeah, totally.
But yeah, so basically you had to wear tight underwear for that show just to get the pitch of the voice just right.
You know, it's funny. You would think there would be some sort of, clothing compression involved or restriction of the tenders, but no. It was just voice, pitching, and I say overall just good practice. I have, of course, a bit of a Rolodex of voices, and I've been doing voices like that for years, which is definitely my pleasure and my fun.
Mm-hmm. Well, it is a lot of fun creating voices. I just do it all the time just for the hang of it.
Oh, I'm never quiet in my car, let me tell you that.
I've got a funny story to share with you. I'm pretty sure you got a few of your own, but I was once queuing up at a sci-fi convention to get someone's autograph, and to amuse myself, I started having a conversation in 3 different voices. That's all I can. People just staring at me, and Jeremy Bummett was there signing, and he sort of tapped me on the shoulder and he says, "You could have a career doing that,
Exactly.
But,
that's exactly it. I think a lot of people, given the opportunity to stand up at a microphone, would really get that sense. And I see it all the time. It's my express privilege to see students very much on their way. I teach, courses from the very foundational level to advanced levels. And most people, given, like I said, that chance, they really shine out. There's a lot of really serious voice actors out there, and they don't even know it. Every time you tell a story about your family member, you somehow mimic their voice. If it's your grandmother or your aunt or your uncle, you're like, you put on a voice. You can't help it. Most people do it automatically.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of those. It's just one of those funny things. I mean, I just do it when I'm a bit overtired or if I'm a bit hyper. I'll just start going into these different voices. But it's just it's so much fun, and I've sometimes thought about maybe I should sort of give this acting thing another try, but
I would always encourage anybody who is hip to trying something and having fun to do it, because really at the end of your day, you have to find ways to be excited by what you get to do with your day. You have to find ways to be excited by what your hours look like, and doing voices, cartoons, that's awesome. That will always be awesome. I don't care how old I get, I am going to have a great time doing cartoons.
Oh, cartoons are awesome. Another show that I've just noticed this, and I'm going to have to chastise myself here for not actually having checked this show out yet. It's on my Netflix.
That's okay.
I've noticed you have a recurring, it actually looks like you've got a regular role on Dirk Gently's Holistic Detective Agency, and you play Zed.
Yes, Dirk Gently season 1. I had the really strange role of Zed. Zed is one of the men of the machine who very, very briefly sort of comes into a story crossover with Dirk and, of course, Todd and, everyone just after the same machine, after the same thing. It's been wonderful seeing Dirk Gently spin out into a really popular show.
Yeah, I'm still actually to check it out. I mean, the BBC did a production of it a few years ago with I think it was Stephen Mangan in the role.
Yeah.
And I kind of got into that and enjoyed that, but I've not got around to the Netflix version of the show yet. So,
I gotta say, it is one hell of a ride for anybody who likes sci-fi and who really, really likes to enjoy a good ride and a great adventure. Dirk Gently's definitely for you.
And looking at some other, this looks like it's probably another animated thing. Ninjago, Masters of the Spinjitzu.
Yeah, Ninjago has been an amazing ride. I have had the real and very, very just amazing pleasure to play and provide the voice of Jay for these last, 8 going on 9 seasons. There's just so much to be thankful for. Lego, thank you so much. Lego fans, thank you so much. It's just such a huge accomplishment for the entire Lego universe to see it explode to this height, and it's all due to the fans.
Cool. Well, moving on to more present things, and you can tell I've been holding myself back from asking you about it for ages.
I can
tell. War on the Planet of the Apes. I mean, I'm actually a fan from way back from the the 1960s movies, 70s movies, and I've really enjoyed. I've really been enjoying the reboot. And obviously the reboot's being a little bit different, but it's also being respectful of what came before. In War for the Planet of the Apes, you actually played the role of Luca, who's Caesar's lieutenant. What can you tell us about him?
Well, Luca is an interesting story. Me coming into the role was never something I ever anticipated or planned for, but it's the thing you always hope for. You want that kind of role. You want to see, you want to do everything you can to create an opportunity. Just to have the privilege to audition for something like that is huge. So again, just coming into it was a real shock, and I think it took me a long time. I'm sure you can appreciate as a fan. I'm a fan also. And for me to be part of this franchise at such a pivotal time was just unbelievable. It was mind-blowing. Luca is a character that has been established from Dawn. And in Dawn, Luca was really the sort of, I wouldn't call him late addition. He was just a new member of the guerrilla force and a new presence in the whole community. And he very quickly felt, indebted, as most apes did very early on. And for most of them, this, feeling of loyalty persists right through war. And he felt a debt of gratitude. He felt a debt of honor. And as much as I can imagine, apes and, simian kind being very capable of this feeling and this notion. I mean, this is our fiction, and these are the rules of the universe. And, Luca was no exception when it came to loyalty. And I think he very much dedicated himself to the express safety and concerns of, Caesar as, the king, and of course, the first family as a very important, a group in their society. So Luca is very much the loyal lieutenant. He very much concerns himself with everyone's safety and the safety of the community where they're hidden at present when we find them in war.
Yeah, I can't wait to see this film. I mean, it's been out for about a week here, and I've just not had a chance to get out and see it yet.
Yeah, it's a hell of a ride. I dare anybody to go without tissues. I'll say that.
Yeah, well, the first one was a little bit of a tearjerker, and I was kind of sad for the breakup of the friendship in the second one, where Caesar and those humans had to go their separate ways, and in full knowledge that there was a dawn of a bigger war coming, sort of thing, and it was just sort of, that was kind of sad and profound. But getting back onto Luca, as you said, he was played by another motion capture actor in the previous film.
Scott Lang, that's correct. A stuntman, really tremendous performer, really great human being. Scott was, I think, instrumental in setting the tone for this character. Such really, solid presence and great strength.
How much of a challenge was it for you to sort of like emulate Scott's sort of like movements? Because obviously Scott did all the movements for Luca in the first Apes film, but I don't think he actually spoke too much in the Apes film that he was in. So that's true. There was not a great deal of signing established in Luca's repertoire at that time. There was not a lot of there was not a lot of dialogue. There was not a lot of speech that we can that we can rely on for story or anything. But he was always so present visually, and his energy was always so clear. And that's the thing I love about where Luca's come to in War, is that his intelligence has evolved and changed. Lots of time has passed, but overall, working in Terry's ape school, Terry Notary, of course, anyone who comes in to learn a silverback can be and will be most certainly a silverback, male or female, doesn't matter. They all exist, and motion capture performers of all shapes and sizes can very quickly come to appreciate everything that's involved physically in becoming a silverback. And motion capture, I will say very plainly, is not easy. It is quite possibly the hardest work that anyone will ever do. I speak from very compact experience, very intense experience over a very few number of years. It's the hardest thing you'll ever do. So matching the movement wasn't really a concern, but paying homage to the strength and the presence was definitely something that I wanted to do. And that was something that I think we established. I think we did that really well. So Scott and I have a lot to be thankful for the two of us sharing this role. Cool. Well, if I recall, in the original Apes movies from the 60s and 70s, the gorillas they were kind of like the military end of ape culture, and they often sort of wound up being the villains. Yet Luca is Caesar's second in command. How will that play out in the film, and how would you say the modern gorillas compare with the ones from the original films?
Well, I really have always loved a film's ability to pay homage to its forefathers. And I mean, Apes is no exception. They have this brilliant lore, this great history, and we've seen so many incarnations over the years, but through lines exist, and we do see a lot of this apes as, soldiers, chimpanzees as soldiers, and because of their size, we see a lot of large gorillas as the sort of, they're the heavyweights, they're the heavy artillery, like if you need a large boulder hurled or something to that effect, there's that sense. I mean, obviously the apes are very much weaponized at this point in war, and every soldier has his duty, and everybody has their place. And, having grown up in a military family, and I was very active as a cadet from, early on in my youth. I was in Sea Cadets, and then later on in the infantry cadets as a PPCLI cadet. I've trained and spent lots of time with Reg Force people, and you get a sense of the military mind, and you get a sense of that power and that humility required, and that integrity to serve. I mean, ask anybody who knows anyone in the armed forces, they are top quality people, and they are working for the safety of all. And that's very much a prevailing theme, is the safety of all.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they're not allowed to have any sort of like political biases. They've got to sort of like remain neutral.
Well, that's the thing. And I mean, reality aside, our world where we focus on apes, there very much exists these political ties, and these, ties are based on perspective. They're based on your geography. They're based on, in this case, your species. Your intelligence level is, always suspect when, you're a different, outsider. There's always this sense that you will never appreciate my point of view. And, the walls go up, quite literally. And we see that happen in war. And it's a very chilling thing to behold, what people are capable of. And people, as a loose term, I mean what beings are capable of under these kind of circumstances.
Mm-hmm. Okay, well, so like in the original class, the apes, there was almost like a class structure. Like chimpanzees were scientists, the orangutans were kind of like your political class, and the gorillas were military. Now, that kind of still holds true in the new films. Are we going to see that sort of thing more in War and the Planet of the Apes now that they actually are at war?
There is definitely an evolving class structure, and of course, if we were to break down and dissect all of the timelines as if they were one franchise or one piece, we would see that we're at very much the beginning of the story. And even in this, third installation of this trilogy, this series is, the beginning moments of what we, saw in the, 70s, 80s, the earlier installations, and then again, of course, with Tim Burton. There is really a class structure, evolving, and it's been evolving since Dawn and since the exodus of the apes from, the human culture, and of course the simian flu and the breakdown of society and this post-apocalyptic, scenario that's been playing out all these years. But their class structure has indeed, continued on, and they have found that everyone in the community serves a purpose. Everybody has a job. Everyone has something to contribute. There's that sense that there's no one left unconsidered. Mm-hmm. Everyone has a job, and it has a lot to do with intelligence. It has a lot to do with aptitude, for sure. I will concede that. But in war, we definitely see everyone working together in that council manner with a military mind. In Luca and Caesar and Rocket and the other, council members. There's a lot of voice of reason from Maurice, played by Karen Conable, who's absolutely brilliant as ever. Since the beginning of Rise and Dawn, Karen, as Maurice, has been very much Caesar's voice of conscience. Mm-hmm. It's pretty evolved. It's a pretty evolved group, I would say, absolutely.
With Luca being the second in command, it means you've got to spend quite a bit of screen time with Andy Serkis. What was he like for you to work with? Did he actually give you any advice on motion capture? Given that he's sort of like the first real actor to actually
every frame of Andy's work is tremendous to watch and behold and reference as an actor. I, for many years, have been a fan of his ability to vanish and disappear. It's, I'll say, something I've very much tried to model after for a long time. And I just think overall, watching him, taking in his effort or lack thereof, his presence, his integrity as a performer, all of that is advice if you're there and if you're paying attention. He very much leads by example. As Andy, as Caesar, he's, very much a man who has that in common. I mean, obviously, their struggles are different, but Andy leads this film. He has a tremendous cadre of people around him, and he very much is, performance-wise at the helm. Everything he does is advice if you're, like I said, open to receiving it and watching it. But in particular, he was instrumental in just sort of freeing that interior animal that that growls and yells and screams, and there's all these like there's big sounds, and tapping into that is really just about freeing yourself. And we spent a lot of time as apes, completely silent, just finding ourselves and running around. And we kind of cornered a guy in the van who was sort of, I think, maybe concerned for his life for a minute. But he was like, okay, a bunch of people running around on arm extensions, like we were chasing cars, and it was just like, oh my god, it's Andy Caesar. We should just stop. It's Caesar, it's Andy, it's Caesar, it's Andy. It's it was definitely a great time in Ape School. Lots of tremendous moments.
Yeah, I mean, I'm actually personally of the opinion that Andy, should really be given an Oscar nod for his work in these movies.
I would very much like to think that a massive pissed off army will arise if Andy Serkis is overlooked one more time, and you can quote me.
Well, I'll personally sign up to join that army.
Yeah.
Because I just saw like
Team Andy.
He's just
hashtag Oscars.
He's just done great stuff. Lord of the Rings, King Kong, and to me personally, I think the Planet of the Apes movies have actually been his best work.
I really think that you're spot on. He has shown us so much through Gollum and Kong and his other performances. I mean, his work in the Star Wars franchise, his work in the Marvel universe has just been tremendous contributions to all of these wonderfully intricate stories. But Apes really belongs to Andy and Matt Reeves, who these last two installments, with Mark Bomback, have just been tremendously instrumental in crafting such a beautiful story. We couldn't be, I think, mentioning Andy and his work without mentioning Weta and mentioning Dan Lemon and Joe Letteri, who are, at the very forefront of these efforts. Ryan Stafford, there's so many people. There really is an Apes army already. And the funny thing is that it's been there the whole time. And I would love to think that every single person would stand behind our Andy and support him in his bid for the Oscars. He more than deserves it. I think it is high time that he finds himself holding that tiny golden man.
And actually, I think they should just change it to an ape.
I agree. I totally agree wholeheartedly.
Okay, with this film being such a big film, we're likely to see quite a bit of merchandising, such as mugs, comic books, and the like. How do you feel about that, given that Luca will likely be one of the prominent ape figures to feature on them?
I'm excited at the idea that there's going to be a lot of stuff. I think it would be interesting to see how everything evolves. I know fan art takes off like crazy. I know people love to create their own renditions. I've seen so many GIFs and so many memes and things online. The whole community's just been really supportive. I'm really excited, not only for myself as a fan. I know I'm going to collect some swag for sure. I already have some kind of insider swag as a cast member. I was very grateful to receive some lovely, thoughtful gifts. But man, oh man, it's going to be great for fans because, it's like, it's your collectible, it's your loot, it's your memorabilia. You get to look at it and, go right back to that place where you saw that film, or you were standing on location snapping pictures of a star, 50 feet away or 20 feet away or 5 feet away, or got a picture, got an autograph. Like it's more than just stuff. It's more than just pictures, it's everything it represents for a fan, and only a fan can give that kind of value. So I'm really excited for everybody to get their hands on whatever it is they're looking for.
Cool. Final question really is there anything else that you're working on presently that you can talk about that you'd like to talk about?
Well, I can tell you I am involved in upcoming sci-fi production, Van Helsing. You can look out for me in season 2. And I'm also very happy to be part of Netflix Altered Carbon, but everything else is on the down low, unfortunately.
Cool. Would you be willing to come back on again and maybe talk about some of those shows, some of those things, and say the future? Absolutely,
Ian. I look forward to it. You and I can talk again just as soon as you feel we should.
Oh, that's brilliant, Michael. It's been really great having you on the show today, and thanks for all your insights about Planet of the Apes and voice acting in general. It's just so like it's been fun talking to you.
Thank you so much, Ian. It's been great. I really appreciate all your time. Say hi to all the fans for me, and make sure you go see the movie War for the Planet of the Apes. We'll talk about it after. Bye, everybody.